Hey everyone, this is Kainoa from the Manao podcast on our first episode of Artist to Artist. Today we have a special guest.
Chase with Chase Videos.
And quickly, I want to give a thank you to the I'm Lee Gaming team for this is their I'm Lee Gaming Chambers, and it's a very great spot. So we're thankful to have them here. And today's first episode is Artist to Artist. If you don't know, we're gonna have special guests on, including students and teachers, to talk about their art on the podcast. So very exciting. And here today, our special guest, Chase, which most of you probably don't know, but I know him because he's my friend. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's good, everyone? I'm Chase. I work under the moniker Chaesar Videos. I shoot music videos. I record interviews. I record concerts, things like that. From Columbus, Ohio. I joined the military straight out of high school, and that's why I'm here in Hawaii. And yeah, I love shooting. I love this setup here. I'm really grateful to be here, even though it's pretty messed up. I bit my tongue on the very first word I said of this interview. So if you go back and listen to that, it's pretty embarrassing.
That's all right. All right. We're grateful to have you. It's awesome. All right, cool. So just digging a little bit deeper. So what exactly do you like to shoot, and what do you like so much about it?
So I got a few different passions when it comes to filming and shooting. There's so much that can be said about the cinematography and every aspect that goes into filming something. It's so hard to even like pinpoint down what I love about it. I started with music videos when I was 17, I think, and I saw someone like shooting a music video at a job I was working, throwing like the empty like Swisher wrappers, and I liked having cameras ever since I was young. My mom had a camera, and I would shoot with that. So I don't know. I like the idea of being able to have a creative vision and then kind of just explore it and bring it out in a way that only I can, because it's just when you're working on something and you're putting your creative effort into something, just the fact of that it's you and your experiences leading up to what you're working on, it's going to be unique. And I like that because I like doing different creative projects and stuff, and it's fun. I'm designing a game right now.
Oh, a game.
Yeah.
What's this game?
So it's a drinking game, hydration water drinking game. And I'm working with a group of artists featuring Kainoa here. Featuring Dank. Yeah, aka Dank. I wasn't sure what you want to go by there. Yeah. But I'm super excited for that. It's in the works right now, so it's not ready, but I have like half the cards designed and most of the designing done, except for what isn't done, which still needs to be done. But yeah, I'm rambling. I don't know. I like having a camera. I like editing, color grading, working with artists specifically. That's who I like started working with mostly. And mostly who I interview is underground artists, rappers, singers, media production people, like I don't know where the camera is right now, but point like Dank here. That's how we met at a concert shooting. But yeah, I just love being able to put stuff out there, make really cool looking stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, creativity is key, isn't it? Let's go into a little bit on your interviews, so people don't know what you mean by that. So go ahead and explain your process and some of your favorites that you've done.
Yeah. So the interviews kind of just started off real like low key. Like I was in Japan in 2022 in Okinawa, and there was a few artists who I was working with to get some music videos done. I didn't end up shooting any of them. They all fell through because of one thing or another. One guy broke his arm as we were locking on shooting dates. He broke his arm. Was like, I think I'm good. I don't think I want to shoot a video in a cast. But because of that, I thought it'd be fun. I realized like I had a little extra money, and I asked myself, why am I not investing this back into what I love? If I want to make a career out of it, if I want to really push the envelope with what I've been dreaming of in regards to it, ever since I started. So I just kind of ordered some stuff, a couple mics, stand, and some lights, and I just asked somebody. I was like, hey, do you want to shoot? So then I started shooting a lot of them real quick. Just no goal when I started in mind. All I knew was I wanted to set up a camera, learn how to use some microphones to talk with some artists. It was mainly rappers, like at the start, SoundCloud rappers, people underground, up and coming, people who are just having fun with it. So then started that, and it kind of developed ever since. I would first do it in people's living rooms and wherever I could. Then I started doing it there was a studio in Kailua. Was it Black Goose?
Something Goose.
Yeah, Black Goose, I think it was. I did it for a bit. And now I shoot them all in my apartment. I like the environment. It's real comfortable. Yeah, but basically for that, I kind of realized that the goal of it became I don't want to get too like, what's the word? Too extra with it. Being really like too deep, But I really like the idea that it can be a place where artists who might not have a way and a method to give out a message in their own like feelings and emotions and stuff other than through music, I would like to give a medium that people can communicate in a different method than what they usually do. And I like that. And I like that one of like the tenets of it is that I want to have a real relaxing and calming space to where people can be honest and in depth, about their life, what they're working on, what they believe, if they feel any way about anything. And just really, I from the very beginning, I wanted to avoid it becoming like a gossip channel, because I felt like it'd be easy to slide into that if I let myself get carried away with like views and making drama and stuff like that, stuff to get clicks. But yeah, I really just want to make it like something that I feel like there's a spot for artists who are up and coming, who are real passionate about what they do, that isn't fulfilled, that they can use to kind of, I don't know, say what they want to say.
Yeah, man, that's great. I mean, that's why I went back and watched all of them pretty much.
Hey, I appreciate it. That's so
yeah. In preparation for my interview with Chase, I understood the media side of it, since they're all music artists. So I didn't imagine they understood the entire process. So I wanted to make sure you got a good entertainment out of it. So I got used to Chase's interviews, and had a lot of them I really liked. Especially, I think, I'm trying to think of their names now. I know the shot, but I don't know the name.
Now we're gonna see if you'll describe what they look like, profile them.
No. I think Juju's is really good. Juju the Queen.
Juju's is great.
Juju the Key.
Yeah.
Key.
Yeah,
Okay.
Key.
Yeah. Spelled QUI. That was a really good one.
Yeah, I liked his a lot. No, it was great.
Then will you have a favorite of yours that you've done? You think of?
One that I really liked. I shot in Japan. I think it was the 6th or 7th that I shot. So yeah, so I shot it. The artist, Liam the Brand was his name. I think it was a friend of his who owned like a chain store, and like, but it was more than that. It had like clothes, and it had a bunch of random stuff in it. He owned a store in downtown. What was it? I can't believe I'm forgetting the city name. But he owned a really cool store there. So I took the bus there with all my equipment. We set up in the store, and it was, when I was first starting, it was rough because I didn't know too much about audio equipment. So I had a lot of camera and audio issues for like the first 10 episodes. And that was the first, it might have been the very first episode or one of the first where I didn't have any issues with the audio or the video. So it came out perfectly. Perfect. And I really liked his conversation. He was just super honest about ADHD and everything with that, you know, how he moved to Japan because he's American, all that. And I don't know, it's just a great experience. And I think I bought a couple of things from the store for my girl, my fiance, shout out. So I don't know, it was just a super fun. I really like the vibe of it. And, you know, like in his own buddy's store, I think they would have people were coming in like getting fitted for grills and stuff at some point in there. Yeah, it might have been afterwards, but it was super cool. It was a good chance to get out into the city, which I can't believe I'm forgetting right now what it's called. That's crazy. People are gonna be on my throat. Hopefully not. But yeah, I really like that one. Yours was great because obviously ever since ours, it's just like a team, you know, partnership kind of form. Whereas like anything I'm working on now, I bounce off you. Yeah. You know, and like the very similar mindset and like attributes and skills and passions and hobbies, you know. So of course that one, like,
the key, right? Yeah, because I when I came into the interview, I was like, I didn't have anything going. Like I had no plans. I was like, once I get to the interview, then I'll do plans. So the moment I hit the interview, like my entire like life path changed. Like I wasn't gonna come back to school, and then I didn't join coming out yet or have anything going. So it would have been nice to have all that stuff going, so I had something to talk about on the interview. But because we got so much into like, you know, cinematography and stuff. But, maybe we can go into that a little bit, but since it's artist to artist, we'll talk about the art. And similar to your podcast or your interviews there, giving a voice to these artists that they might not necessarily understand, or like if it's a teacher, then if you've never taken their class and you don't really understand, or maybe the teacher never got that chance since they're so busy teaching. Yeah. You know? So, and then especially for students who want to get their work published and talk about their work, you know? So, you know, this is a plug. So we're going to have our student submissions open. So if you want to have your work published and you want to come onto the show and talk about your art, because that's one of the key skills is being able to talk. Because like if you just shoot your picture, your video, you just do whatever, it's like, it doesn't have that, you know, that deeper kind of meaning. You're not really, it's getting away from the art. You're just using tools. But when you start, you know, putting behind the mindset, like, I don't know, like when you're painting and you're using special techniques, or I don't know, I'm not a painter, but like just as an example, you know, thinking about your shot and your composition, your colors and all that kind of stuff. So this is the place for you to share that. So, and then this is a special thing that I want to do since, you know, this pretty much whole idea started from your interviews. So.
Really?
Yeah.
You're lying. That makes me so happy to hear. That's crazy. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think it's really special. I think because it's not really a thing here. I mean, there's a couple podcasts that I've listened to. Like I like Camp Paisha Guy, and then Keep It Aloha is pretty good. But they're like big people. They get like huge people, and then trying to get the underground side is great because that's where I like would imagine like if I did music, like, oh man, I want to come on this podcast and talk like,
Yeah.
and make it look like, I mean, make you look better, you know, because that's kind of how you do your music and stuff. You want to look good and have a good marketing image. But yeah, man, all thanks to Chase right here.
Hey,
So
I
this is the birth
appreciate
of the
you.
podcast.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, so hopefully we get some good art in. And one thing I didn't think about is the sample. We didn't insert that at the beginning, so I wonder how we're gonna do that. Probably in the future, just actually, you know, say it. That's probably a good way to do it, because especially, you know, my plans, I'm imagining if there's a painter student, you know, I think at least bring in the canvas and we can show it. Hopefully, I don't know how we would, you know, logistically do that, but definitely showing the work. Maybe, you know, put it up on the screen and be like, oh, this is whatever. Small little break, sorry. But I ideally want it to be a message platform, not just entertainment, but like gaining knowledge, similar to our other podcasts on Spotify, hosted by the wonderful Alex. And then going back to Chase, in the same topic as interviews and your previous interviews, you have any future plans going forward?
Yeah, so there's a lot. When it comes to future plans, nothing's so concrete. But there's a few things that I would really love to do, but honestly, just, I don't know. So first of all, what you were saying about maybe like bringing in like a painting here or something like that. One of my goals is when I show the sample work, I'd like to change how I do it. So I would love, it just seems so fun to have a whole intro made one day.
Oh yeah.
Like an intro, and then maybe in that intro I could show sample work in a real creative way, you know, maybe have like a TV pop up on screen, show it there or something, just some cool way. And then I would like to incorporate more, because set design is something that's really important to me and has been always. I would love to incorporate like some green screen with it, maybe, but then it's like I can't really do it unless I'm gonna do it right, because otherwise it looks really super rough. Bad. Yeah. So I would love to have something where I could maybe put us into like because I mean
Savannah. Yeah,
Savannah, or like in the woods. That's somewhere I'd feel really comfortable, is like in the woods with a campfire, you know.
Get a little LED light in the middle.
Yeah, like, that wouldn't even be that hard at all. The lights on
fire.
Yeah. Someplace, you know. I don't know. So that's a big one, is the set for it. I would really like to be able to change. And then how I'm actually going to do that's the issue. Because I could do green screen right now. No matter how I do it, it's going to be like a monetary investment. Because one, invest into the actual green screen, the cloth, the new lights I would need to be able to light it evenly and everything. And then the time of learning how to key right, you know, in whatever program I use. I know people use different ones, DaVinci or Premiere or whatever.
The lighting day of.
Yeah. Yep. Lighting day of.
You have good backlight, or else it's gonna wash away. That background.
And then what I would probably want to do is just throw it into some like 3D program, build the background based on that, and then matching the lighting with that, if I'm gonna pay someone to do it. But it's still something that I'm going to do at some point, whether 3D or not, because I don't care to have 3D. I'd honestly prefer it to be in person, you know, whatever I do. Or I said 3D, I meant green screen. But I really love to change the setup around, you know, make something that's real relaxing. So ultimately with the goal that somebody watches it and it's just, they can be relaxed while watching it and hopefully find a new artist that they like, you know, or just I can't promise like to any artist or anybody that I'll be able to give them like fans from it, you know, because the viewers are going to decide that for themselves. But like, if I can build a place where consistently people can recognize that they can be comfortable, and like maybe that's their haven in a bad week or something like that, you know, then that's really the goal.
Yeah.
But then that, and I want to get better with audio, video, all that, you know. I want to just keep getting better with lighting setups and everything, learning how to actually like ask the right questions and interview and make something that people will want to listen to, you know, at the end of the day. Like if something's not entertaining, why would anybody watch it? I don't watch anything that's not entertaining. You probably don't either, whoever's listening to this, you know, for good reason. Why would anybody waste their time?
Right.
Unless it's like support. But
thank you.
But yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, I mean, similar, getting better with lighting setups. Future podcast, I don't know what I'm going to do without those lights. I'm going to have to buy some more. And I guess in that kind of realm, like for someone interested in video, what is the no-goes? Like what do you regret buying, and what do you think was the key to everything?
So that's a good one. So for people like who are getting into videography, regret buying. I really didn't. Oh, you know what? I did buy one thing. I bought. Don't buy. I don't want to say don't buy, because if you're buying, like, I bought the eBay cheap as dirt green screen with the lights, and they were terrible, and I never used it for like years. So if you're beginning and you're looking at eBay and you're about to buy the cheapest green screen with lights that you see, I wouldn't even waste your time, because you're probably not going to use it. I don't know how many people fell into that trap.
I also fell into that trap. Yeah, I have like 3 green screens.
Yeah. And then I would say it's kind of a tough question, because honestly, like, I could say what was difficult for me, what was hard for me, what I'm happy about, what I regret. But like it all played out how it played out, and it is playing out how it's playing out. Really, the only thing, like, I ever, like, when I'm asked a question like that, or when I think about it, the only thing I can think to say is like, if you enjoy it, then dedicate your time to it. And the only way that you're ever gonna like improve is through consistent work and consistent learning, you know? So that doesn't have to mean like consistent, meaning you just don't give up and you keep going with it. And if you love it, you will keep doing that. And if you find yourself not doing it, then you can ask yourself the question, do I love it? You know, like, if I'm not doing it, then how can I actually say I love something? And that's not a bad thing if you find yourself asking yourself that question. Because I've been in spots where I asked myself that question. Like, you know, I have periods where I don't do anything with work, especially near the start, when I didn't have like returns to see that, oh, this is valuable, you know? And then after a while I sat down and I was like, well, like, how can I say that I love this if I'm not actually doing it? And that was like an ego hit. You know, I was like, no, I've based a lot of myself around the fact that I love this and I pursue media production in these different forms. So then, like, I'm like, that makes me angry. So then you start doing it again. And you're like, oh man, I'm so glad I started doing it again.
Yeah. I was gonna transition into like, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily equipment. You know, my professor is gonna get on my butt for even posing the question, you know. But yeah, like, equipment on some level, of course, matters. You know, the difference of trying to shoot a sunset without a flash, like, you're either gonna have a silhouette or you're gonna have an ugly picture. Like, so on some level it does, but it's also a skill to learn, working with what you got. Having nothing, because a lot of my photo classes, I had nothing, and I had to go to my friend's setup, and it was just like basic LEDs in his garage and a backdrop taped to like a blackboard or something. Like, and those pictures still came out amazing. Like,
Yeah.
so it is really the person and the skill and the attention to detail, the mindset behind it. Like, definitely, like, if you love it, like, you're gonna do it all the time. Like, the number one thing you can do for an artist is do the art and keep trying new things. And like you said earlier, like being creative and trying these new things. I just said it, but being creative is like huge. And that's what people kind of look for, because in a attention span deficit day, you know, like you're just scrolling, you know, it's really the most creative, unfortunately, are when they have the super fast in the 2 seconds, like, hey, don't stop. But you know, people are super crazy now, like with what they can do, and how they got there is by doing it, you know. So if you're starting, number one thing is to just do it, and keep trying. And you know, I failed a bunch of times. There's music videos that'll never see the light of day. There's scheduling that will never stop to not be scheduled. There's thousands of photos that will never see the light of day. And you know, things like this, well, maybe you're not, you know, on a podcast to talk about it, but at least with your friends, or maybe your teacher or your peers, or your other videographers, photographers, artists, you know, you have a space to talk about your art. Because usually, like for photo, for example, when you're editing, that's when you learn, like when you're shooting the wrong things. Like that's, you're like, why did I shoot this? Like, I don't need this. Like, this is not look good. Or
that's so true.
I wasn't really paying attention to the lighting. I wasn't paying attention to, like, all my lines are crooked. And that's where you see it. So when you're talking with your peers, especially if you're like doing like a portfolio share, like if we were both sharing different videos and we could talk about what you like, what you didn't like, what stood out. Because when you see those reactions, that's, you know, when you take a picture and you see the reaction and like, oh wow, right? So that's like, I mean, that's instant validation, but it's also like instant, like, you know, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And that's where you can build, is, you know, making that creative connection with your peers and the viewers, because, you know, all art is meant to be shared. Usually it's shared, and it's okay if it's not, but typically art is meant to be shared and enjoyed by the people, you know. And maybe enjoy is kind of a strange word, because people probably don't like your art, but that's okay, because there are people that do. And it should be you know, you should be enjoying your art, because that's why you're doing it. But just the fact that people are seeing it, you know, people are responding to it, because everyone has a different experience, you know, everyone has a different kind of perspective, and then seeing those different perspectives on your work is like amazing. Like, because something you would never even think of, someone that's like their go-to thought, which leads to funny situations or maybe angry situations. But at the end of the day, you're just sharing your work. And bring it back to the podcast, this is one spot where you can really learn and think about how you are taking pictures, or you're taking video, or you're painting, or you're writing, even like stuff that's a little bit deeper, you know. That's all it really takes. So bringing it back to learning and starting doing video, what is or have you had any school experience in your work and passion?
So I graduated high school in 2019, and after that, it has been just self-education in regards to it, which I can definitely see hinders me a lot, you know? Because so much of that's like 20 to 30% learning the material, and then it's 60, 70, 80% learning like the context of the material, when it's necessary, how to use it, why it matters, when it does matter, when it doesn't, any type of warnings to the material, anything to keep in mind, real life application of it, you know, overcoming roadblocks with it. So it's like, if you look up a tutorial on how to grade something in DaVinci Resolve, you're gonna see a lot of people telling you this is how you do it, and then you won't hear people explaining like, okay, yeah, but you don't even understand that the file format that you recorded on, you didn't do the proper color space transformation to be recording at like the DaVinci one with 20 stops of light in it. So when you when you transform to Rec 709, this issue's happening. Or if you don't even know how to do that and you're like, why is this causing issues? And then you don't even know about color spaces when you're beginning, and that like you need to know that beforehand, you know? And it was yeah.
Sure, that's a bunch of gibberish to most people.
I
to
mean,
me even.
It's gibberish to like everyone.
So definitely that's one of my main components. Even like in school, with all our online classes, is it's just a different learning environment and learning experience when you're physically in a classroom with your peers and your teacher, and your teacher's over there over your shoulder looking at your work and like, what are you doing? Like, or you need help with that, or oh, you're doing this wrong, or do it this way, or not do it this way, but like this is how you do it in a more helpful way. And then the troubleshooting that comes with, you know, maybe your peers figure that out, you know, like some people are better at, you know, graphics design than I am, you know, they can have all the jobs that regarding that. 'Cause I'm okay, you know, with that. But yeah, there's just something special about the school experience. And especially at LCC, Leeward Community College.
Whoop, whoop, shout out.
Well, I don't want to be biased, but pretty much the best, you know, the best program for photo, at least, because it is the only digital photography program on the island. So
really,
yeah, it is fully fledged, and our great new photo head, Phil Young, has been doing a good job putting everything together for all the students, and the community is growing, and I hope, as well as he does, to have LCC be the hub for photography. Like, this is where you got to go. Then relating it back to what Chase was explaining about color space, you know, gibberish, right? It's you know, different materials for printmaking, like what the substrate is, or what the ink you're using is, and how long you're exposing for, you know, analog photo, or what you're editing with, and you know, color balance, and all these other things that, you know, YouTube University doesn't really teach you, right? You need
because you don't even know what to look up,
right? Yeah, you look up how to start photography, and then it's like a million different ways you can do it, and they're all not really going to fit with you. That's why you have a professor, you have a teacher, you have an instructor, you have your peers that like you see what they're doing, and they can help you. For example, right now I'm in a documentary class, and we all have our own topics, like, and our professor helps us shoot for those things. It's not like you could go and shoot whatever you want, and your teacher can adapt to you and help you with that vision and help you put something amazing together, which YouTube University, you know, you can't really. And also, I think it's kind of like a shortcut people think about, like, because I also think like when I look up how to edit in blah blah blah, and I look for the shortest video, because I think that it'll be the best, you know, use of my time. But it does not cover enough, right? It's completely different. So even if you're not in school, networking in general, like having someone that knows all this stuff that you don't, you know, that's how markets work. And, you know, some people are good at making bread, some people are good at making sauce, you know, you just put that together and you get like whatever,
some pizza,
right? You get some pizza, right?
I think that's a great point about the networking and in the environment you're around, especially here. That is something like, after our first interview, that was something I realized after a bit when I was like, oh, I've been hitting Dank up for like everything, asking questions about this, that. I was like, I am so grateful to have a connection, like a friend who does this,
right?
Right. Pretty much the first one.
Yeah. So basically get out and learn who else is doing your work, like who else is painting. Well, I mean, that's the beauty of school, is you're forced to be around people that also do it. So, get involved with your friends and stuff. It'd be really great. All right, we're back from a little bit of a break and a little bit of a reshoot. So we're going to talk just a little bit on the general artistry and the general mindset that artists should have going into progression, like the mindset behind progressing as an artist in your medium. So take it away, Jace.
So let's see. Before I even start, I'll give like a little disclaimer. All I can give is on the topic of like progression. If I try to give any advice, all it's going to be is what has worked for me and got me to the point where I'm at. So, I mean, you can this is just my perspective, because I know sometimes when I hear people give their perspective, it's like, I don't even want to listen to that. Like, especially if someone's not where I want to be in life. So, you can decide if, I'll just throw my 2 cents out there. But for me, my progression and kind of what made it difficult and the biggest roadblocks I had were mainly like 2 things. One, it was like mental health and habits and like personal life like that. It took me a long time to be able to balance learning technical skills and practicing technical skills and improving those with my ability to manage time, especially when it came to like being depressed or like anything like maybe like ADHD or anything. If you have that, managing those and building the right habits in place to work with those. And then the second one is your environment, like who you have around you. Because really, like if you're in a tight-knit group and you have people who are there all attempting the same goal and you have people like that, then like if you fall down, chances are that not everybody else in the group has also fallen down in life. And if it's just one person who falls down, then all the others can help lift that person up, make them come out to things, make them do things, make them work. And that was tough for me, because it took me a long time to understand the value of that, really, until I actually started I was in those positions where I had like that group of people or a person who can help me with that. So, because I was always working on a solo, like everything. And that is such a hamper, because when it combines with the other one, then it's like you have such periods of, especially when you're beginning and you haven't seen the fruits of your labor. So your only incentive is because it's fun to do. It can be so hard. It can just grind your progression to a snail's crawl and take you years to learn tiny little things, even if you want to and you feel motivated to. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that is definitely an important part, is having that group, because in a similar way, you have that group that is hopefully in a better spot or a similar spot than you. And then when you fall, you have them to lift you back up. And when it comes to that balance, I'm pretty much horrible with my balance of doing fun shooting stuff and doing work shooting stuff, and then everything else like school and family and everything else. So it is rough, but I do keep at it. I'm always eager to do something new, and for example, Manao is great. I never imagined I'd be a journalist photographer. I never really thought about it like that. And I never really thought I would be doing like a photojournalism thing, but that's why I kind of turned my job into more something like this, to have just a little bit more of what I like to do rather than just conforming and all that. But yeah, definitely finding the balance, because I have like so many pictures that are not done. I have projects that should be sent already. But it is a struggle. And in the same way you're talking about my perspective, because I might not be where people want to hear where I'm at. And I'm confident enough with, where I'm at photo wise, just understanding and skill wise and mindset wise. Not better than my professors, of course, because they're the ones that taught me that. But I'm comfortable enough to help those that aren't where I'm at. And I've heard actually a great analogy from the speaker at PhotoCon is that if you look at skill level in the 1 to 10, right? The 10s in the art are too busy being 10s. They're too busy being the best at everything they do. The 8s and the 9s are too busy trying to be a 10. The 7 through 5 are the ones that are doing it and they're kind of well off, and they're kind of already using it as like most of their time, and they're pretty much there with the skill level. Those are the people that are best for teaching. Those are the people that have that kind of time and the kind of mindset that is helpful for those 1 through 4s.
Yeah.
Those 1 through 4s are the harder parts, because even if you're starting from scratch, or maybe you only took, YouTube University or a couple classes, you're not really there yet. It's the people that aren't, you're not really going to get singing lessons from Beyonce. You're not going to get singing lessons from the craziest like Christina Aguilera or whatever, right? You're going to get them from your coaches and your teachers that might not necessarily be 8s or 9s or 10s, but they're somewhat relative to your level. And usually, in bringing it back to like your group is probably going to be around your same level. And when you feel like you're falling down, you have a group of the people there that can help you bring back up. And just saying that people may not have that group yet, but you just got to keep looking. It may not come immediately, but if you keep doing your work and you keep getting out there, then eventually people will see you and be interested in your work. Because I know of like 3 video people. I know like CJ and Caleb and Lucas for music video people. And I met DDG through school. So shout out Darius if you're listening. I met you through our media class. But I would never have, I'm still not in that realm because I don't really do music videos, but I know if I was, that I would at least have them, because I've worked with Darius just a little tiny bit during class.
Yeah.
And then I've worked with CJ, I've worked with Caleb. And I know that if I needed their expertise, I would go to them, because they're the editor ones. They're the ones that they already got the music video editing skills down, because it is different than traditional editing, because that's where I'm at. But when you got to add transitions and effects, that's probably, I should say, the effects part is just where I just cannot do.
That's a whole project.
But stick to your 5s and 5, 6, 7s as your mentors, and then 1 through 4s you make a community, and then you all go together. Because if one person tries a crazy piece of art, like using, like I saw like you put a paint bucket and you poke a hole and you put on a string, and then you make it go like that, like someone might have thought of that, and then you think of you see that and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you play off each other, and you build, a community of creatives together. And then let's bring it back to the progression of your work. So just go a little bit into that on your mindset towards the progression of your work and where you're at now versus where you started.
Yeah. So I feel like it really was like, I don't know what the graph is called. It's been too long since I was in a math class. But I feel like my work, it kind of, it was very slow progress for like 3 years. And I've been doing this for like 4 to 5-ish now. It was very, very slow for like 3 to 4 years. And then around that like 4-ish year mark, that's when it started to pick up quite a bit more, because honestly, I think it was a big part of it was that I was able to see more results from what I was doing, more like external motivators. And then once those started coming in, it was like, okay, now when my internal motivators used to fail, then now I kind of have the support of the external motivators, whether it be money, whether it be people compliments, whether it be opportunities, new things like that. So that really helped with that, honestly, because then that provides a lot of stability with everything and allows me to just learn faster, and then you learn something, and then once it becomes habit, you're able to learn other stuff faster, which is great. That was kind of roundabout. But yeah.
It is a roundabout, pretty much. Like when I learn traditional numbers, now it's just secondhand knowledge. Like in the beginning, it's a common thought for the photo classes here is learning the traditional numbers. And if you don't know, for photographers, traditional numbers are, well, they're traditional in the sense that they're very easy to multiply and divide from in terms of stops. So, 1/30th goes to 1/60th, then 1/20th. So that kind of doubling makes understanding your exposure easier because you understand the relationship between, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, all that kind of stuff. So learning those kind of foundational things and making it a habit allows you to do those creative things. Like we were saying, like, try new stuff, and you're not gonna necessarily land on your first try every single time. But you can increase your chances if you have all your habits down, you have all your foundational skills ready enough, so you can at least think before you plan that shot or you plan that painting, like, oh, I'm gonna have different layers of blue that will eventually merge into a sky or something like that. Like you'll have that kind of foundational knowledge, which is important. And how you do that is just keep doing it, even if it's foundational. Like for example, photo, you just practice shooting over and over and over again. You're in different situations, you have different ideas, you have different lighting, blah 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 blah. And then it becomes that second nature, which is really nice. And in terms of progression, you start off with not knowing anything, because I started off with not knowing anything. Aperture means big hole, shutter means chuck.
The exposure triangle was awful to learn. It took me so long to learn that. Oh my god, that was awful.
So and then how we were saying before we re-recorded is the looking back at where you were at is so important. If you're starting from nothing, you need to realize in your mindset going forward is at some point, even just a year from where you are right now, you look back and there is like 99% chance you're going to have some kind of progression. So when you're shooting or you're painting or you're drawing, I suck at drawing, but I'm sure if I start taking classes, I'll eventually get it, because I don't really know. And the only way I can do better is to keep doing it. And I just not a drawer or painter, so I haven't been doing it. So I don't really know. But for photo, I started from pretty much nothing, and I started to build, and I look back now and I see like kind of my mistakes and kind of my old habits, and then they start dying over time. So if I could go back and tell myself something, it wouldn't be, you should know this triangle. Why'd you shoot it like that? Blah, 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 blah. Just like, you're going to get better. Like, you're going to keep doing it. You're going to progress. You're going to look back at some point and you're going to be like, wow, like I made it. Like I made something better. Like maybe you haven't yet found your style, but you're getting there. Like you have something behind yourself, and especially putting together your own portfolio. And not just for the reason of showcasing other people, but curating your own work. And realizing like, maybe it doesn't look the best, but my first painting is important to me, right? My first ever painting on a giant canvas, I want to put it into my portfolio. And you can look back on all your work and see, which one am I showing? Which one are you going to let everyone see, your clients see? And usually it's your most recent ones, right? Because that's where you're the best, and that's where you're learning the more. So when you get to that point, I'm super appreciative of my past self continuing to do it and not just giving up, because there's a couple of things I kind of given up on photo wise. Like I'm sure I could eventually get better at it, but underwater photography, I'm good. Some people are crazy. Another example is astronomy or astrological photography, where I don't even know the physics of it, or like you tripod and then super long exposure or not super long. I don't know, because I don't know, but I'm sure if I started to try and start paying attention to, I can't do it in the town because there's too much light pollution. I have to go up to a mountain or something, or even like a backyard that has zero light pollution, right? And you're not going to know until you do it. So when you're doing it, just, have that positive mindset that it's okay that you're going to maybe make mistakes. You're not going to get the shot. You're going to make a little mistake on a painting. You're going to, drop the ball a little bit, and it's okay, because in the future, at some point, if you really love your work and you're going to continue doing your work, that's what you will look back to, is your previous work. And it's kind of beautiful that we can do that in these days, because I imagine it's really hard to, take one of those analog photographs that you have to like go into the little hood and then you flash the thing. There's only like one version of it ever. I don't really know, but like, it's everywhere. The information's everywhere, online stuff now, like Instagrams or TikTok or whatever. It's there and it's meant to be shared, and you can archive your posts now on Instagram. You don't have to delete them. Your old pictures you don't like, you can just archive them, and then every now and then you can look and see like, oh, that's cute, right? But at the end of the day, your mindset is important, that you are going to grow. And
I got a question for you. Because you mentioned it earlier near the start of the interview about how some of the best work comes when you're in the trenches and you're down in life. Which do you think has made you more? That's a tough question, actually. I want to know, so that whole mindset, the tortured artist like thought process, of how like the greatest, correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be embarrassing if I'm wrong, Van Gogh, he cut his ear off, right? If you're a viewer, it was him, right? Like your Van Goghs, who are like ground shakers, movers, you know, like that, creating new styles and eras of art, being tortured. And then that sort of becoming a cliche of like being a tortured artist allows you to, and I say cliche, I don't know if that's the right word, because I think in context there is merit to it, of how you're just expressing, you know, if your art is the only way you can express where you're at in life, then that's good, you know, use it if it allows you a way to communicate. But then, like, how do you view the tortured artist cliche existing along with like the love of what you do and sort of like being fulfilled with like love of your and passion and work for it, you know? How do those two like exist together in your mind?
Well,
how do you think?
Yeah. So the quote I was mentioning before was from my professor, Phil Young, where at some point, I think it was during our photo book class. He's not going to like that I said that, but it's the book. It's the class where you make the photo book. Sometimes your photographs are going to look best when you're like down in the dumps and you're depressed or whatever. And when he said that, I'm pretty sure everyone just agreed, like, oh yeah, because
it makes sense,
right? Because you're pushing further than just clicking a button. There's your expression behind it. There's the feelings that you're feeling. So your pictures are going to reflect what you're feeling, hopefully. Because I imagine, kind of in the same way, if like you're a retail worker and you're just at the end of your shift and you're completely sick of people like coming up to you, you're not really gonna be truly happy with that, so your pictures may come out that way. Your art might not come out that way, like, oh, you were trying to be happy or something, like you're trying to put on that you're okay. But when you bleed into that mindset, you go into the tortured, I'm like not feeling okay right now, like at least you're doing something. Like I would hope that you're not just down in the dumps. You're down in the dumps, but you're also able to do something that you love, right? You're able to take photos, you're able to take videos, and maybe stay away from like being scared, or in the same way that people like tell you just go to the gym. Like when you're sad, just do push-ups or something, right? Like in that kind of way, not in like a toxic way, but you can just do something that you love, right, to hopefully make you feel better. And in that way, it's great because it does really come out. All your pictures are black and white and they're moody and they're, maybe they're askew because askew means something's wrong. And you can really tell like something deeper is going on, and that translates into your pictures or into your art. And then welding, whatever, that together with why you love it is just another kind of like loyalty. Like you're loyal to your art. So even when you're down like that, you can still do it. You're still that good. You still have some amazing work. And maybe it's not just being depressed. Like it can be when you're super happy. Like, for example, I went on a hike, the Makapu'u Lighthouse, and I stopped halfway. I didn't go all the way up because there's like a little off path that goes onto like very sketchy like rock cliffs or whatever. So instead of kept going, I was like, I found like a spot, or I was looking and I saw a spot, and I looked at it and I saw that I could go there. So I tried to walk over there and I climbed down there, and then I got some of like, not necessarily my favorite photos, but just the experience of being there and using my camera as an expression of how I was feeling at that time. Like it was like completely peaceful. I was listening to my music, it was kind of sketchy, but I was okay. I was like, is this like adventurous kind
Yeah.
of thing. And my photos, it was me also learning and making a mistake, but at the same time I was taking pictures of like, it was the first time I ever took pictures of animals, like with my zoomy lens. I took pictures of a couple birds that, like, you know, there's this entire coastline and beautiful land around me, and I turned around at like the pathway, and there's like a super dead bush, and there's a bird on top of it, and I was like, oh, that. And then I just like started shooting. So the mindset is important when you're making art. So going back into that is important. And it doesn't matter what you're feeling. Like if you're feeling sad or you're feeling happy or you're feeling bored, like it can express through your art. And that's what's beautiful about it, because when you do that and then you share it, people can relate to it, or people can have a completely different perspective. Like a super depressing image, someone might think that's like super awesome, you know, but that's what's so beautiful about it, is the art being a creative form of expression for pretty much anyone that wants to do it. And sticking with it and being loyal is how you get better, and then how you can even further get that expression out. So that balance is important, and the way to offset that balance is to just keep doing it. Just bottom line is just keep doing it, and you don't necessarily have to lead into your feelings if you don't want to. Like if you're really depressed and you don't want to shoot at all, you can still shoot something, maybe something familiar. You know, maybe you always go to a garden and then you just go back to that same garden. Now you have a different mindset. You're probably going to pick up on different things. You're probably going to pick up on like lonelier flowers, right? Flowers that are only by itself in a giant bush of green. Like it is a tool in some way, kind of weird way, that your photographs may be better when you're depressed, but you can just translate that into any feeling of expression and then bring that out in your work. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be wrapping up this episode. So if you listened this far, thank you so much. It's a new endeavor for us at Manao and for me, and hopefully in the future we get some good guests and hopefully some students too to submit and talk about their work. And hopefully watching this, you have some kind of inspiration and motivation, as I've watched Chase's videos, and every single time after I'm like fired up to go do something.
I appreciate it.
So hopefully this fires you up to, you know, get out there and go shoot or go paint or go draw or go back into it and doing some more artists. So with Chase here, do you have any lasting words or words of motivation and inspiration for our listeners?
If you don't love it, you should be done with it.
Because then you would be pushing it out, right?
I took that from Stud. So shout out. I liked that you said that, and then just make sure you love what you do, and then the golden rule: always keep working and always keep learning.
All right, okay. And then for any of our viewers, let's do the audio portion. I'm gonna steal that from you. If you are an audio listener, what is your handles where we can find you at?
Oh, my handles. So let's see. So Instagram, you can find me at, it's going to be where I do all my interviews, is a look at the water hole. That's what it is.
No spaces.
Yeah, no spaces, no extra characters, nothing. I'll pull it up here. Make sure I've got the other one right. And I'm starting a new one for my music videos to keep them separate. So let's see. Yep, look at the water hole. That's where I do all my interviews. Then you can go to chaesarvideos.com to find pretty much everything. CHAESAR videos.com. That'll have all my links in there. Then YouTube, Spotify, look at the water hole. And then my other Instagram, which I'm making right now, is CV C as in Chase, V as in videos, Media Productions. So thank you. I appreciate you if you made it this far listening. That's crazy. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dank. Shout out.
Of course, no problem. It got to be our first pilot episode. It's got to be like where it came from, like where the idea came from. So it's been great having a discussion with you, and I hope some of you take at least something away from this video, and you come back for more, and hopefully you're inspired as an artist to come on and talk as well. That'd be great. So we're gonna have you on. So thank you. And thank you from Manao. All right. Shooties.